Ransom Kuti was then in England attending a missionary exhibition organized by the CMS. As far as we can tell, getting the songs recorded was purely on his own initiative. The songs were released on the Zonophone record label that year. According to the liner note, he made these records, quote, so that the sacred songs of his own composition and other records of interest may be available to all Yoruba-speaking people, end quote. There is an innocence, a freshness, even eeriness to the recordings. His sound is haunting, grave, and gripping. There was a somberness baked into Ransom Kuti's soul and thus his music, a tinge of melancholy pulsating with divine energy. Through these songs, we're taken back in time to the period that marked the transition from an exclusively European form of church music to the use of compositions and melodies inspired by the musician's cultural roots. By the 1890s, a few voices had begun to express concern that the prevailing form of church music primarily catered to European ideas of what was acceptable as sacred music. They argued that this prevented new Christians who did not belong to the imagined educated class from having a meaningful and vital participation in church worship. Also, considering that music could be a powerful tool in the preaching of the gospel, they contended that the prevailing form limited the church's ability to win converts. A number of people made attempts to rectify this situation. One of them was James White, a Yoruba evangelist and the first person to preach a public sermon in Lagos. Another was Ademuyiwa Hastrop, a wealthy Jebu prince and Methodist lay preacher who played a major role in opening up Ijebu land to Christian missions. Mojola Agbebi, a leading Baptist preacher in Lagos, promoted the use of native compositions and musical instruments. But Ransom Kuti was by far the boldest innovator of the era. In song after song, he's maneuvering the contours of a people's soul, finding the slightest point of entry to break down their resistance to the message of the gospel. Sometimes he's pleading, sometimes he's taunting. In Keferewa Wobawao, he challenges idol worshippers using the structure of the traditional taunt song. In Oba Abake Awoke, he's making an emotional appeal. In Jesu Olugbala ni Mo Forí Fún, his goal is to undermine faith in the principal figures of traditional Yoruba religion. Ransom Kuti's desire for his own people and the Yoruba nation at large to embrace the message of Jesus Christ was a driving force of his career. By the time he went into the studio in 1922, he had probably used many of these songs in his open-air meetings for about 2 decades, and it is clear that they were forged in the fires of evangelistic encounters. Biographer Isaac Delano has left us a powerful sketch of the force of Ransom Kuti's music in his open-air meetings. Quote, mounted on a petrol drum, Kuti would be singing with hand raised, his earnest face illumined by the peace in his soul, his bushy hair waving in the breeze. The people around him would sing lustily. They sang as they felt as they sang. The same cure, the same key was offered for the unlocking of the mysteries of their hearts. End quote. In all his stations, the marketplace was the battlefield, and music was the vehicle through which he launched his attack on the gates of hell. He would usually sing tunes that he knew the local people loved, with Christian words set to the music. Sometimes, the words were set to tunes he had learned in fetish groves as a child. His music was written and performed based on a profound comprehension and appreciation of the language, symbols, history, and customs of the people. His willingness to utilize these elements in the audacious way that he did was revolutionary in his day. In a way, his whole life had been a preparation for this role.
Lórí rẹ̀ lọ́mọ bàbá tí kò fẹ́.